I'm Tracie Goodman, and I'm the Agriculture and Natural Resource Extension Agent for McCreary County Cooperative Extension. Today I'm going to show you how to make a very cheap, very easy compost bin. And this is something that I have actually been using all year myself. I made one of these earlier this year. So this container is what we're going to use to make our compost bin out of. Now you can make a compost bin with relatively anything. You can build it out of wood, out of fencing, out of old pallets. Whatever you have laying around will actually work for a compost bin. But if you want something that is already assembled for you, this is a really good option, and it's not going to cost you a lot of money. So what I have here is a 20-gallon trash can. I got this for about $9, which is very, very cheap. It has a lid already on it. It's already in the form of a bin. It's ready to go. So the only thing that I need to do for this is to actually drill air holes in it, because this is one thing you want to make sure of, is that your compost pile has access to oxygen and also drainage. You don't want your pile to be too wet, and you don't want it to not have enough airflow, because it's not going to break down properly without those two things. So we have our drill here, which has a 5/16 bit on it. This isn't necessary. You don't have to have one this particular size, but I wanted my holes to be big enough to allow some airflow into the barrel. And I have a set of bungee cords, which I will show you why we need these in a little bit. And then I also have a pair of safety glasses. These are very important. Protect your eyes always when you're using any type of equipment. So what I'm going to do is drill some holes just randomly all over this trash can and in the bottom of it, so that it will allow that excess moisture to drain out, because again, you don't want your compost pile to be too wet. You want it to be able to drain properly so that everything breaks down the way that it needs to. So we will go ahead and get started. You can see these holes. They're pretty good size. They're going to be plenty big enough to allow a lot of airflow into this bin and allow moisture to drain out once I put them on the bottom. And you don't need to space them any particular space apart. I'm not scientifically calculating this in any way. You can just drill them randomly all over. And if I don't have enough, or I find that I'm not getting enough airflow, I can always put more into it later on. So we're going to finish putting the holes in it, and then I'll show you what to do after that. So now that we have our barrel done, I have the holes in it that I wanted spaced apart evenly enough so that it'll get a lot of airflow and good drainage. We're going to talk about what we actually put into a compost pile. So compost piles typically need two types of materials. They need brown materials, which are your carbon materials, and they need green materials, which are your nitrogen materials. And I will link a publication in the video description that talks about the specific things that you can and cannot add to a compost pile, and the ratios of each thing that you need in there. But for this video, I will just tell you what I personally add. You can see that I have quite a bit of leaves on my property, so that is what I use for my brown materials. So for my green materials, what I typically do is keep a bin in my house for vegetable scraps and eggshells. That is what I usually add to my compost pile, because that is what I have the most of. So I can show you a couple options. This is what I used to use. I just had a container like this that had the lid that you snap on it, and I would keep this on top of my counter, so when I was chopping up vegetables I could just throw them in there and then take them out and dump them into the bin. Recently I upgraded to an under the counter bin. It hangs on a bracket on the back of my cabinet door, and I can open this one-handed when I'm chopping stuff. It seals up really nicely, so that is one important thing of how you store your compost scraps. If you're keeping them in the house for a period of time and not taking them out immediately, you want to make sure that you have something that seals, because fruit flies will find this stuff. So you got to have something that seals tightly to keep those fruit flies out of there. So I'm going to show you what I add to my compost bin. Alright, I went ahead and put in some leaves. I filled it about quarter of the way, third of the way full. And I'm going to take my scraps. I just have some old celery, lemon pieces, it looks like, maybe a couple of old peppers in there. I'm going to dump those in, and typically I would just keep adding to this every day or every other day whenever I want to empty my bin out, and I'll show you what we're going to add to it next. Now remember I said compost bins, compost piles need a little bit of moisture. Now you're going to get, if you use vegetable scraps, you're going to get moisture that comes off of those. But initially, see how dry this is? I'm going to add just a little bit of water to this, and having that right moisture content and airflow is going to help this break down much faster. We're just going to let it down just a little bit, not too much. And now I'm going to show you how we're going to mix this up, which is the fun part. Okay, so remember we have a lid that goes to this can that came with it. So we're going to put the lid on. And also remember, in our list of materials, we had a set of bungee straps. So I used 3 of them. 2 of them are a little bit shorter, but you can use any size, any number of them that you want to. So what we're going to do is fasten this lid down with these bungee straps. Okay, so now that our lid is on here nice and secure, we get to do the fun part. So this is how we're going to mix our compost bin. Okay, let's look inside. We're all mixed up and definitely ready to start composting. So this is a very cheap, very easy design. This would be perfect for kids. They would love rolling this around your yard, I'm sure. So if you don't have any type of materials to build your compost bin out of, or if you don't know how to build with things, this is so easy. You need a drill. Doesn't matter what kind of drill, what kind of bit, whatever you have. Or it's just something to poke holes in the side of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a drill. You need bungee cords, and you need just a pair of safety glasses if you're working with equipment. And then obviously you need your stuff to put inside of it, which you can find anywhere. So this is a really great project to teach your kids how to utilize waste and turn it into a usable product. So I hope you found this informative, and thank you for watching.